Hi everyone, I'm your host, Arlen Schumer, and welcome to one of my pop culture presentations. Get ready to be both educated and entertained, what I call edutainment. And when you're done, please be sure to click the subscribe or follow button on your platform screen to be notified of all of my upcoming pop culture presentations.
Summer of 1966, a glut of Batmania. I was there, I was 8 years old. If you look at all of the different graphics you can find on the internet about the year 1966, you can see that Batman, to the lower right of the six, is always prominent. Al Lifson did a book about 1966 being the coolest year in pop culture history. Batman's prominent at the top. And who's that to the right? Yep, the guy we're going to talk about. Let's look at the fall 66 shows that were in the wake of the Batman TV show Batmania. There was Mission Impossible, which was more because of the James Bond craze. There was the Monkees, of course, which was more because of the Beatles craze. And then there was Star Trek. Yes, the great evergreen Star Trek, with its multiracial and ethnic cast of characters. Perhaps the three most different were Spock, Uhura, for being the first black woman in a supporting role on television. And then there was the first Asian supporting character, George Takei as Sulu, but he was not the only Asian character to be on television in the fall of 1966. There was this Asian character who was on a television show with this American actor, and you wouldn't necessarily know it was about a crime-fighting masked duo, because remember that fall 66 preview issue? This is how they showed the debut of the Green Hornet. Are you kidding me? I mean, congratulations, TV Guide. Well, this was more in line. The first TV Guide ad that was shown the night it premiered, September 9th, Friday night, 1966. I remember staring at this image, wondering, who is this masked guy? I had faintly heard of the Green Hornet somewhere in the pop culture landscape of 1966, but nothing prepared me for what debuted that evening.
Another challenge for the Green Hornet, his aide Kato, and their rolling arsenal, the Black Beauty. On police records, a wanted criminal, the Green Hornet is really Britt Reed, owner publisher of the Daily Sentinel. His dual identity known only to his secretary and to the district attorney. And now, to protect the rights and lives of decent citizens, rides the Green Hornet.
That score was composed and conducted by the great Billy May. Billy May is one of the musical giants of the 20th century. Of course, he was known for working with, that guy. But the horn solo on that great theme song was by the great Al Hirt. And what is the Green Hornet holding there but his Hornet Sting weapon, which produced ultrasonic sound waves? You can see it here in this publicity still of the Green Hornet with Kato. So tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to delve deep into the great television series, a classic, The Green Hornet. And welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Arlen Schumer. If you go to my website, you'll see I'm both a comic book style illustrator and a comic book and pop culture historian. My homepage showcases my illustration work doing comic book style art, but for advertising and editorial usage. I'm also a comic book historian, having done the book, The Silver Age of Comic Book Art, about comic book art in the 1960s and how it related to what was happening in the decade. And you can see in those sample spreads, I actually take out the original word balloons and put the artist talking about the art. I also did a coffee table art book about the Twilight Zone, Visions from the Twilight Zone, which pertains to both the television images, treating them like black and white art photography, and the dialogue and narration that I transcribed and typeset to read like poetry. So when everyone is beautiful, no one will be, because without ugliness, there can be no beauty. That's dialogue from one episode, and then images from two others, contrasted with my interior text, which places the Twilight Zone in between the great surrealism and American art icons like Grant Wood's American Gothic, contrasting it with the Twilight Zone masks, kind of psycho-American Gothic. The Twilight Zone I count as the first of the great television shows of the 1960s, even though it debuted technically in October of '59. It really belongs to the 1960s. The next innovative series would be the Flintstones, debuting in the fall of 1960s, the first primetime animated series. The great Twilight Zone knockoff, yes, The Outer Limits on ABC, debuting in 1963. And then you have the Batman TV series causing Batmania in 1966, which is how the Green Hornet TV series, of course, came to be. Even though this is sort of the official logo, the way it was shown on the TV screen, of course, was animated to look like this. Now, without, of course, the producer, William Dozier, who also, of course, produced the Batman TV series. Now, shown here, of course, with Adam West and Burt Ward, Dozier didn't know anything about Batman in the comics, but he knew about art and what was happening in society. And he felt the only way he could do Batman as a weekly TV series would be to treat it in a camp manner. Now, he might not have known the origins of the Green Hornet, but they go back to radio in 1933, when the producer and station owner, George Trendle, on the right, with his head writer, Franz Stryker. And who's that masked cowboy? Yes, The Lone Ranger began as a radio television series, very successful before it was the Clayton Moore television series of the 1950s. But they created both, the Green Hornet in 1936. Now, in this piece of internet art I found, they decided to make the Green Hornet the great-grandnephew of the Lone Ranger, who is John Reed. His nephew is Dan Reed, who is Britt Reed's father. But started out as a radio show, 1936. There's really no visual to the Green Hornet. There was the official insignia of the Green Hornet kind of club, and maybe it might have been colored green like this. The first time the Green Hornet gets visualized, though, is in comic books. You can see in Green Hornet #1, it says there, based on the famous radio adventures of the Green Hornet. And you can see the kind of half mask with the Hornet illustration where the mouth would be, and Kato wearing the goggles and the driver's hat. Maybe there's a name for that hat. But the first time we see the Green Hornet visualized in live action film in black and white are the movie serials of the 1940s. They might have had color posters that looked like this. They were filmed, of course, in black and white. The lobby cards looked like this, tinted green for the Green Hornet. But you can see the visuals there, and there's Green Hornet and Kato. He started out as Japanese, but was changed to Philippine in 1938, contrary to urban legend that they changed him after Pearl Harbor. Not true. But you can see how this basic look carried over into comic books throughout the 1950s. You can see to the right of the word green, it says on the air and in the movies. And even into the 1960s, Dell, which did a lot of licensed tie-ins with characters that they didn't own, you can see that the Hornet is coming back to the original half face mask, going back to his very first comic book appearance in the early 1940s, shown here. So the television Green Hornet was strikingly different with this as his look in this publicity photo. And here he is shown with Kato, the basic look, contrasted to the only other live action look was from the 1940s. So who was the actor, Van Williams, that played the Green Hornet? Well, he had been discovered in the middle 50s by Michael Todd, the producer, and he was originally cast in kind of travelogues, later became, beach type flicks in the early 60s, but as the, brunette hunk. And you can see him here in one of his many publicity photos, bare-chested, looking much like a kind of maybe a poor man's Rock Hudson, not necessarily that poor. And he made it into some early 60s TV series like Surfside 6. And there he is as the Green Hornet, Britt Reed, and how he looked in a publicity shot. Notice the mask is much more Japanese influenced, whereas other times he wears this mask, more like the superhero of the Green Lantern. And then there's, of course, Kato. Kato is Bruce Lee, born in San Francisco. Oh, and this is way before the Bruce Lee of the early 70s, of the great, Enter the Dragon flicks. This is what he looks like in a 1965 black and white publicity photo, right? With very Americanized hair. He came to prominence in Long Beach, California for the 1964 International Karate Championships. And you can see in the program book, they call him in the second paragraph, a master of Gung Fu. A different dialect pronounced it later as Kung Fu. But there he is in that publicity still. And here he is doing a screen test for Kato.
Now, Bruce, just look right into the camera lens right here and tell us your name, your age, and where you were born.
My last name is Lee, Bruce Lee. I was born in San Francisco in 1940. I'm 24 right now.
And you worked in motion pictures in Hong Kong?
Yes, since I was around 6 years old.
And when did you leave Hong Kong?
1959, when I was 18.
I see. Now look over to me, Bruce, as we talk. I understand you just had a baby boy?
Yeah.
And you've lost a little sleep over it, have you?
3 nights.
And tell the crew what time they shoot the pictures in Hong Kong.
Well, it's mostly in the morning because it's kind of noisy in Hong Kong, around 3 million people there. And so every time when they have picture, it's mostly, say, around 12 a.m. to 5 a.m. in the morning.
I see. They'd love that there. And you went to college in the United States?
Yes.
And what did you study?
Philosophy.
I see. Now, you told me earlier today that karate and jiu-jitsu are not the most powerful of the best forms of Oriental fighting. What is the most powerful of the best form?
Well, it's bad to say the best, but in my opinion, I think Kung Fu is pretty good.
Would you tell us a little bit about Kung Fu?
Well, Kung Fu is originated in China. It is the ancestor of Karate and Jiu-Jitsu. It's more of a complete system, and it's more fluid. By that I mean it's more flowing. There is continuity in movement instead of one movement, two movement, and then stop.
Would you look right into the camera lens and explain the principle of the glass of water as it applies to Kung Fu?
Well, Kung Fu, the best example would be a glass of water. Why? Because water is the softest substance in the world, but yet it can penetrate the hardest rock or anything, granite, you name it. Water also is insubstantial. By that I mean you cannot grasp hold of it. You cannot punch it and hurt it. So every Kung Fu man is trying to do that, to be soft like water and flexible and adapt itself to the opponent.
I see. What's the difference between a Kung Fu punch and a karate punch?
Well, a karate punch is like an iron bar, whang. A Kung Fu punch is like an iron chain with an iron ball attached to the end, and it go whang, and it hurt inside.
Okay. Now we're going to cut, and in just a second we'll have you stand up and show us some Kung Fu and some movements in Kung Fu.
Okay.
Cut.
Got it. Okay. ABC, where I'll be seeing you in the Green Hornet. I am Bruce Lee, inviting you to join me every Friday night on most of these ABC stations.
And that's how Bruce Lee became Kato. Teamed up with Van Williams as the Green Hornet, shown here in publicity stills with their weapons. That's his gas gun. And there's Kato, of course, with his Gung Fu, as it was called back then, and his Hornet Sting ultrasonic sound wave weapon there. Now, in case there was any talk that two men working so close together day and night, well, in the same way that Dozier took care of that problem in Batman with Aunt Harriet, so too was Wendy Wagner cast as the character Lenore Case, and she was Britt Reed's secretary and the only person of two to know his secret identity as the Green Hornet. Now, in the same way that Batman had his Commissioner Gordon, the Green Hornet had character actor Walter Brooke playing the DA, Frank Scanlon, who also knew of Britt Reed's secret identity as the Green Hornet. As Batman had his Batmobile, based on the 1955 experimental Lincoln Futura, shown here, customized by George Barris in about 2 weeks in November of 1965 to film for the pilot that aired in January 66. George Barris, back in 64, had also done the, what was it called? The Munster Coach, spelled with a K, Coach. But they didn't choose Barris to design the Green Hornet car. No, they went to Dean Jeffries. Now, Dean Jeffries, no relation to Matt Jeffries, who at around the same time designed all the great Star Wars sets, including, of course, the Enterprise. But Dean Jeffries in 66 also designed the Monkey Mobile for the Monkeys TV series that debuted a couple days after the Green Hornet in 66. So if you look at Jeffries' style here, and then the Black Beauty for the Green Hornet, shown here in this very green tinted photograph. But here's some more publicity photos of them and the distinctive grill of the Black Beauty. Another one. And here's how every episode they showed the Black Beauty on the Green Hornet television series.
the scanner. Check.
Hornet gun. Check. Hornet sting. Check. Let's roll, Kato.
Here's a nice black and white shot of the Black Beauty from one of Dean Jeffries' publicity photos. And there's Mr. Jeffries himself with a white beauty, a white blonde beauty, I'm assuming, from the black and white photograph. I love these publicity photos for the Green Hornet done in black and white. You can see a good close-up of the arrow dart that Kato used in the Green Hornet's gas gun. Yeah, these look very modern. They don't look like they're over 50 years old. I love the dynamism. Anyway, here are 3 ABC promos. The two that bracket the center one are narrated by William Dozier, the same guy that narrated the Batman TV show. And the middle one is by a different narrator. Looks like maybe an earlier version, and it's a longer promo. So here they are. The Green Hornet television promos for ABC.
Each week, ride with Kato and the Green Hornet. Kato strikes with the deadly art of Gung Fu. The Black Beauty travels into the tunnel of death. And Britt Reed is delivered into the hands of the enemy by the Green Hornet. For these and other action-packed scenes, tune in on the Green Hornet.
The incredible Black Beauty slices through the night with the Green Hornet and Kato at the wheel. Why is this man sought by those on both sides of the law?
That money means my life. I've got to get away.
Tell me who has the gun and your life is guaranteed. By me. You have my word.
Let me warn you about the Green Hornet.
I could flood the world diamond market with your perfect imitations. I can make you millions.
He's not the two-bit kind of thug you're used to dealing with. He's clever and he's dangerous.
Master criminal or brilliant crime fighter? Who is the Green Hornet? The Green Hornet in color on ABC.
Black Beauty withstands a hail of bullets and spits back. A laser beam becomes a killer's weapon. The Green Hornet duels with death from the sky. For these and other action-packed scenes, tune in to the Green Hornet.
You can see that the Green Hornet made TV Guide in the fall of '66 after its debut, and it wasn't the only magazine cover that it made. Yes, Castle of Frankenstein features the Green Hornet with the kind of weird Japanese influence mask. I couldn't find a reason why he had 2 different masks. I did my research, but they are novelizations of the episodes or new novels based on the ABC series. Some had really bad licensing art like this. Eey. Or how about this coloring book? Yeah, that's not bad. But mostly, like most licensing, they use photographs for this Whitman coloring book cover. And this is a kind of a average illustrator's vision of a photograph. Probably the same photograph that was used for the Gold Key comic book tie-in that the Green Hornet had in 1966 and 67, the years that his television series ran. But yeah, inside is a comic book ad for the Black Beauty hobby kit by Aurora. They were the big tie-in model makers of monsters and superheroes like Superman and Batman. There's the cover art for the Black Beauty box cover. You can see here in 3 dimensions. Of course, Corgi, which had the James Bond car, got into the act with its die-cast metal. Now, of course, a hefty collector's item. 2 different views of the packaging. Aurora had a Green Hornet figure model. I just couldn't find a picture of it, but notice they used the Japanese mask as well. He was even one of the Captain Action superheroes, that Captain Action. He would dress up as all the other Marvel and DC superheroes. Somehow they got the licensing to do that. I don't know how it worked. But yeah, Green Hornet had not as much as Batmania, but yeah, lunchboxes. I love the Gumball Machine mask. I never saw that. And then there were the Green Hornet stickers that, again, use the Japanese mask. Some of the stickers look like this. Combination of photography and illustration. And of course, they had to license the actual emblem ring. You can see there, copyright 1966, Greenway Productions, Dozier's production company. And of course, everybody's favorite Viewmaster, where you'd have this little kind of, what do they call it, binocular-like viewing thing, early visual reality. But you would see scenes from the TV show that, you know, might have looked like this. Now, why are the Green Hornet and Kato coming out of a Hollywood lot window? Probably because in September of 66, a couple of weeks after their show debuted, they appeared on the Batman TV series. It was a King Tut episode. And, you know, Batman would always have the windows with celebrities opening up and saying hello. And here's the actual scene.
Gee whiz, Batman. Dropping in on a drugstore might have been easier.
Exercise never hurt anyone, Robin. We must always keep the element of surprise on our side.
What are you doing here?
I might ask you the same question.
Pursuing the enemies of law and order wherever they happen to be.
Aren't you in the wrong city?
On special assignment for the Daily Sentinel. You know my aide, Kato?
Robin, the boy wonder.
Well, I don't want to hold you up from your crime fighting.
Thank you, and good luck to you, Mr. Hornet.
Nice to have met you.
Gosh, Batman, what are they dressed like that for?
Yep, there they are, credited visiting hero and assistant visiting hero. Remember, Green Hornet and Kato were supposed to be bad guys in the eyes of mostly everybody. But of course, they were good guys. And that was their modus operandi. The theme of the crossover episode that aired March 1st and 2nd of 1967, some cockamamie typical Batman TV show plot about counterfeiting with typical pop art gadgetry and signage in the background. But there's Wes Williams and Bruce Lee as Kato in disguise, and there they are in a publicity photo taken at the time. And they were playful with each other. Trick or treat, perfect timing, right? Hope everybody had a good Halloween yesterday. And here they are, both in costume, in a publicity still against the Green Hornet's Black Beauty, which was, of course, paired up against the Batmobile. Of course, the whole point of the crossover episode was who would win in a fight between Green Hornet and Batman. Well, on screen, it kind of looked like this, but off screen, they were actually very good friends, Adam West and Van Williams. And it was a friendship that actually lasted late into both men's lives. They actually enjoyed each other's company and hung out a lot. Now, we all knew Kato should not only be able to kick Robin's ass, but should have been able to kick both Batman and Robin's ass. But here's how the great meeting went.
Now, quiet, please, quiet, please. We have here, ladies and gentlemen, that famous stamp from Egypt, the inverted Blue Nile.
Wonderful!
There's gum in that phony disguise.
The Green Hornet just came through the surface door, and the Cape Crusaders through a window.
I'm ready.
Let's make our move.
The Green Hornet! And the Cape Crusaders!
It's a good thing those guys are on our side, even though they don't know it.
It's a good thing those guys aren't in town every week.
What do we have here? A Mexican standoff? A dead heat? A photo finish?
All right, stand back there. Come on, now make way. Come on, stand back, stand back.
Ah, if it isn't the fuzz and the pink hostage, she'll come in handy. Out that window, boys. We'll come up behind them. Ah, Miss Pinkston, permit me to introduce my... Don't move, Commissioner. Nor you, Chief. It's gum. Robin, if anyone makes the slightest move, Miss Pinkston will be a dead pink duck. All right, boys, out with the loot.
Batman can handle this. Let's go.
Well, William Dozier, the producer of both shows, shown here on the Batman Batcave set, basically had a formulaic approach to storytelling. After the high ratings of the Batman TV series debut, he basically imitated that formula of that first two-parter with the Riddler for literally every episode. And he ran the series into the ground within 2.5 seasons. By the spring of '68, Batman was off the air. And he had the same approach, even though it wasn't camp, to the Green Hornet, with formulaic scripts and forgetful storytelling. And within one season, ran the Green Hornet into the ground. Now, I'm not sure what this publicity shot of Bruce Lee as Kato is, but I don't know what prop city that's supposed to be, but it's fitting that maybe it might be Hong Kong where he grew up, because it was during the post-1967 cancellation of the show that in syndication, it became popular. It was known as the Kato Show. And here's how it was marketed.
There are many legendary figures of evil in the Orient. Some people say they are often driven back to action by their own malevolence.
He is back. The legendary Bruce Lee as Kato, the Green Hornet's trusted sidekick. Masked menace of the martial arts. If you're looking for action, he's the one to find it. Bruce Lee is Kato in The Green Hornet.
And it was actually this foundation of a fan base in Hong Kong that when Lee returned there in 1969 and began making the films in the early 70s, that would cement his status as a worldwide icon, only to, of course, shockingly meet his end in July of 1973 at the age of 32. They say here he was 33. But yeah, and it would be because of the Green Hornet show that he would have a second life. Look at this bizarre promo art for how the Green Hornet kept getting, popular in syndication.
The Green Hornet packs a good punch, but his sidekick is even better.
Why?
Don't miss Bruce Lee.
They just might. That's a good possibility.
And Van Williams in the Green Hornet.
How else would the Green Hornet make an entrance? Where and when?
We'll let you know where and when.
In the 21st century, the Green Hornets made a comeback mostly through comic books, where they get the great illustrator, painter Alex Ross to do their covers. And he must have been a big fan of the television series because he's done a lot of comic book work for all the different publishers that have gotten the license to do Green Hornet comics. Of course, the crossover is super popular amongst many creators, which spurred on more recent action figures. This one's more based on the serials in the 1940s. Yep. Kato action figures are plentiful. They even brought back the Black Beauty, Polar Lights, with their logo similar in homage to the original Aurora logo. And look at how fans are actually taking the model of the Black Beauty and photographing it to actually look like an outtake from the series itself. Now, who are these two guys dressed up as the Green Hornet and Kato in their unique takes on the green and black mask? Well, this was actually a fan film. I'm not sure exactly when, early 2000s maybe, or late 1990s. All I have is this image I found, of course, on the internet. And who are these two guys that look suspiciously like a down market Green Hornet and Kato? But they were in a 2011 Hollywood film. Yes, that is Seth Rogen as the Green Hornet. 2011. I saw it, of course, it was a total bomb. It just goes to show you that the original Van Williams and Bruce Lee team of the Green Hornet and Kato will always remain an icon. There's Kato, of course, with his, I don't know if they were ever given an official name, these kind of ninja darts. But the lasting legacy of the show is really Bruce Lee's Kato. He was the whole reason why we watched it. And there's probably no better clip to show than this clip from November 18th of '66 in an episode called The Praying Mantis, in which Lee stands off against the character Lo Sing, played by Meiko Iwamatsu. Enjoy. Oops.
All right, this has gone far enough. Now give him the money and let's wrap this up.
You better listen to him, Lo Sing.
I no longer take orders from Mr. Slate.
Big talk. But that's all that it is.
Lo Sing, you are nothing without me.
He's nothing with you. I was willing to let you two operate, provided you played it straight with me. As of now, you're out of business.
Now, who makes the big talk?
Is that all you think it is?
How would you stop us? Kung Fu?
Isn't that the traditional way?
All right, hold it. Now, we're not playing any games.
Stay out of this, Slate. What do you say, Lo Sing? Man against man.
Slate is right.
What's the matter, Lo Sing? The stakes too high? You afraid you might lose?
I'll kill him as I would a fly.
More big talk. This man is your leader, your hero. He backs down like a woman.
Enough!
Any questions?
Untie me. What now?
That's up to Jimmy.
Well, it was really, of course, Bruce Lee's Kato, along with Van Williams, who played the Green Hornet, kind of like Connery played Bond. Very true, very straight, with just the right amount of seriousness that a hero demands. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for attending the Green Hornet TV series webinar. And if you go to my website, arlenschumer.com, they've got links to how to purchase my comic book history book, get a signed and sketched and copy by me. I run 3 comic history groups, the Silver Age of comic book art based on the period, as well as one devoted to Jack Kirby and to the great Neil Adams, who influenced my illustration style the most, probably a whole generation's. I'm linked to the TeePublic commercial site where you can get over 125 of my illustrations in every kind of application you can think of. My visual lectures and webinars page is linked to my YouTube channel, where I've got a lot of my recent webinars and older live lectures for you to see. And then there's my Vimeo channel, which has all the copyrighted material that YouTube's lawyers flag, but Vimeo's lawyers seem a lot more easier. So you can see how many of my webinars about the Twilight Zone and Bruce Springsteen are on my Vimeo channel. Speaking of Twilight Zone, I have a new book coming out sometime in 24 called The 5 Themes of the Twilight Zone, featuring 68 essays about 68 episodes that I think represent the cream of the crop of the Twilight Zone's 156 episode run. And these are essays I've literally been working on for over 30 years. And then similarly, I have a book about Bruce Springsteen's unreleased material, liner notes that I've written to that, and his greatest unreleased live performances. And these are essays I've also been working on for over 25 years. Both books will be published by Bear Manor Media, a great pop culture publisher. And my events blog page has all my comings and goings with all the URLs you need to connect. So thanks again, ladies and gentlemen, for being here for the Green Hornet TV series webinar, and I hope to see you on the next one further up the road. Bye-bye.
Thanks for attending this presentation. Hope you enjoyed it. And please remember to click the subscribe or follow button on your platform screen to be notified of all of my upcoming pop culture presentations. And visit my website, arlenschumer.com, to sign up for my newsletter too. Until next time, I'm Arlen Schumer. Bye-bye.